Hello and welcome to Non Sequitur News for November 13th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 318. I am Mayor Watt. The Sentient AI is not available for today's show, and we are in a time machine. I wasn't available yesterday to do the show, so tomorrow is when I did the show, so today is when you're getting it the day after yesterday. Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not sure. It's all this time stuff. So once again, I am Mayor Watt. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com. And today, our 10 articles are going to be about this. Training does not infringe copyright. There's fake whale poop. Kayaker dying to get away from family. Warcraft Remastered. Medtronic patent infringement. This dealership is on fire. If you love it, set it Freevee. NASA moon rocket seems canceled, marble bust Doorstop, worth millions, and a Turntable Hangout. We've seen that one before, maybe. A couple of other things we've talked about, I think, in some way before. Some of this is an update. I don't know. We've done 1,500 plus articles. All of them are available over on YouTube and the podcast. You can also follow us here on Twitch and here on YouTube. Please like and subscribe, tell a friend, let the world know that we are out here. That would be great. Anyway, everything is powered by ohmtown.com. Go over, become a citizen. All right, everybody. Let's get into this. The very first article is over in Non Sequitur News. It was aggregated from TechDirt, but Gatherer threw it into Non Sequitur News. A judge says, just because AI trains on your publication does not mean that it infringes on your copyright. So the article says, I get that a lot of people don't like that big AI companies and how they scrape the web, but these copyright lawsuits being filed against them are absolute garbage. And if you want that to be the case, because it goes the other way, it will do real damage to the open web by further entrenching the largest companies. If you don't like the AI companies, find another path, because copyright is not the answer. The article is over at techdirt.com in the department that's called That's Not How Any of This Works department. Mike Masnick from techdirt.com put the article together. And it says, so far, we've seen that these cases aren't doing well, all that well, though many cases are still ongoing. Last week, a judge tossed out one of the early ones against OpenAI brought by Raw Story and Alternate. Part of the problem is that these lawsuits assume incorrectly that these AI services really are, as some falsely call them, plagiarism machines. The assumption is that they're just copying everything and then handing out snippets of it, but that's not how any of it works. They're actually recontextualizing it, modifying it, regurgitating a modified version of the world's knowledge that would normally have to be interpreted by somebody, and sometimes incorrectly. And so just like a human, AI is hallucinating whatever data might be in their large language model, spinning it up with a bunch of math and then calling it their own. And that's largely what humans do. Humans aren't plagiarizing the material, by the way, either, unless they say what you are saying and not giving credit. So that's one of the problems here, is that that's not how any of this works. Some of the case focused on whether or not OpenAI removed copyright management information, or CMI, from the works that are being trained on. This always felt like an extreme long shot, and court finds Raw Story's arguments wholly unconvincing, in part because they don't know how any of that works over at OpenAI. For one thing, here's a quote. For one thing, plaintiffs are wrong that Section 1202 grants the copyright owner of the sole prerogative to decide how future iterations of the work may differ from the versions the owner published. Other provisions of the Copyright Act afford such protection, see 17 U.S.C. 106, but not Section 1202. Section 1202 protects copyright owners from specified interferences with the integrity of the work's CMI. In other words, defendants may, absent permission, reproduce or even create derivatives of plaintiffs' works without incurring liability under Section 1202 as long as defendants keep plaintiff's CMI intact. This is all automated, by the way. If I read an article and I talk about that article, there is nothing that is stopping me from talking about the article. I mean, it's basically public discourse. And if I incorporate my discussions into commercial enterprise, there's nothing that's stopping me either, other than a slap suit, other than litigation to literally drown me in court fees to prevent me from basically living a life. That's actually what seems to have happened from time to time in everything having to do with intellectual property. I think that it's absolutely unethical, improper. Rather, it was to ensure the integrity of the electronic marketplace by preventing fraud and misinformation and to bring the United States into compliance with obligations to do so under the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO, Copyright Treaty 12.1, Obligations Concerning Rights Management Information, and WIPO Performances and Phonograms Treaty. And we have a lot of treaties between the United States and Europe, and a lot of countries within it are all bound by various treaties in agreements that get incorporated into WIPO and into basically the European Union's processes of litigation and protection, data protection, consumer protection, et cetera, et cetera. So it says, then there's the bigger part, which is that the judge, Colleen McMahon, has a better understanding of how ChatGPT works than the plaintiffs, and notes that just because ChatGPT was trained on pretty much the entire internet, that doesn't mean that it's going to infringe on Raw Story's copyright, because the copyright is the embodiment. It isn't the data. Data cannot be copyrighted, by the way. Data is information. Information can't be protected. It's like an idea. Information is, it is just that. It's actually separated. It is data can't be protected except in the embodiment. Just like a recipe can't be protected except in the embodiment. That's why people publish cookbooks, because the embodiment of that cookbook, how it's laid out, the values and all of that in its embodiment. Like I can't take a copy. I can't take one of my cookbooks, photocopy it, scan it in, republish it. Why? Because that embodiment is protected. I could rewrite the recipe my own, give it a new description. I can't write it verbatim. I can basically duplicate the thing. Will people call me out? Probably. Will I care if I'm making money? Probably not. I will, because I'm an ethical person and I don't see it as being beneficial to take somebody else's work wholesale and claim it as my own. It just doesn't, I don't see the world spinning that way, but there are a lot of people that do. And believe me, it's quite amazing because what I do for a living, I see quite, because I don't stream for a living. I run ohmTown and have other work, but mayoral duties is what I refer to them as. But so yeah, in a nutshell, most things shouldn't be protected by copyright because their derivative works can be created, value added works can be provided, and other than, I think, even in songs, the whole embodiment can be protected. Otherwise, I think little snippets, fine. Why? Because it's share and share alike. People should be able, nobody in a vacuum is creating music or art or anything. Nobody is creating it in a vacuum. That's just not how the world works. Anyway, finally, so plaintiffs allege that ChatGPT is trained on a scrape of most of the internet, which complaint 29, which includes massive amounts of information from innumerable sources on almost any given subject. Plaintiffs have nowhere alleged that the information in their articles is copyrighted, nor Could they do so? When a user inputs a question into ChatGPT, ChatGPT synthesizes the relevant information in its repository into an answer. Given the quantity of information contained in the repository, the likelihood that ChatGPT would output plagiarized content from one of plaintiff's articles seems remote. Yes, by the way, there are times where there is an output of something like a book, but it isn't the totality of the book. It might be a short segment of said book, but that doesn't mean that what is output is a copyright violation. And I think it's finding out more and more that that's exactly what's going on. Just because it's aggregated some book, it can synthesize just like a human can. I get paid to synthesize content into something that is digestible for a client, customer, person on the street. I've been tapped on the shoulder and asked my opinion about something because somebody knew who I was and said, hey, can you give me your, 2 bits? Yeah, sure. It says they are also in licensing talks with other copyright owners in the news industry, but have offered no compensation to plaintiffs, right? So there's talk in here. OpenAI defendants have acknowledged that they use copyright protected works to train ChatGPT requires a license to that content, and in some instances have entered licensing agreements. Basically, because it's frictionless. They could still do it, but copyright is being used as just this battering ram to crush anybody who might actually want to talk about or provide information related to pure information. And to me, it's just troubling, turning information is power. That has always been the case for as long as I can remember. And controlling it is, I think, doing society a disservice. But that's okay. We will continue on and we'll talk about this kind of stuff. While the judge dismisses the case with prejudice and says that they can try again, it would appear that she's skeptical that they could do so with any reasonable chance of success. Quote, in the event of dismissal, plaintiffs seek leave to file an amended complaint. I cannot ascertain whether amendment would be futile without seeing a proposed amended pleading. I'm skeptical about plaintiff's ability to allege a cognizable injury, so something that is actually realized. But at least as to injunctive relief, they're prepared to consider an amended pleading. So if they can prove that the information is plagiarized, not just a distillation of the world's knowledge as it pertains to a very or a given topic, evaluated by the large language model and then output to a person. No, there's no harm. There isn't anything provable that somebody has harmed someone. All right, well, let's keep on going. I spent a considerable amount of time on this, but it's one of the bigger things that we talk about here in ohmTown and Non Sequitur News specifically. Let's keep going. So the next article is over on the Mobile channel. Scientists are dumping fake whale poop into the ocean. Excessive whale hunting in the 20th century destroyed global whale populations, thus disrupting worldwide marine ecosystems. Less whales in the oceans means less whale poop in the oceans. That sounds like a great thing if you're swimming near one, but it's actually detrimental to the health of our oceans. Turns out that whale poop plays a vital role in ocean ecosystems. It provides our oceans with a ton of nutrients needed to maintain health. Think of it as a nutrient-rich fertilizer, which makes your lawn look healthy and verdant. Green. So Louis Prada over at Vice.com put this article together. And it says, so researchers at an organization called WhaleX Foundation developed a synthetic whale poop that mimics the myriad of positive ecological effects whale poop provides. This fake whale poop or fail poop is what I'm pronouncing it as, PHALE. But anyway, that's not really what it's called. It's fake poop, designed specifically to boost ocean productivity by releasing nutrients into waters in short supply and stimulating phytoplankton blooms that absorb carbon dioxide and support marine life. This is a weird game that we're playing, trying to boost the ocean while simultaneously poisoning the air to the point where this either can become a problem one way or the other, because there will eventually be blooms that surpass what we stimulate into blooming. Why? Because there's this the anthropomorphic impact of climate change. We are causing, as humans, climate change, and it's going to impact our oceans. So it says here, a chemist from University of Cambridge in England named David King has been working on the Marine Biomass Regeneration Project, which plans to scatter nutrient-rich dust made from volcanic and glacial sources all across the surface of the world's oceans. What could go wrong? Let's keep going. The next article is Kayaker faked his death to ditch his family for life in Europe, according to the police. I love this article. I get it. We all want to escape sometimes. But faking your own death to abandon your family for another country, that's perhaps going a bit too far. A Wisconsin man allegedly did just that, according to police. Ryan Borgwart of Watertown faked his own drowning over the summer so he could flee to Europe. Since his disappearance in August, authorities and family members of Borgwart assumed he had gone missing while kayaking on Green Lake. Ultimately, they ruled that he had likely drowned. Borgwart even texted his wife at 10:49 p.m. on August 11th, stating that he was, I guess, headed kayaking. Sammy Caramella over at Vice.com put this article together. Yeah, seemingly staged his own death by abandoning his vehicle, his overturned kayak, and a fishing rod. He was headed back to shore. So police searched for his body for over 50 days. They never found it. Now it's pretty clear why that was the case. Borgwart's passport, just one day after he went missing, apparently. Earlier that spring, the Wisconsin man reported his original passport as lost or stolen before obtaining a new one. From there, police began further investigating the incident, eventually learning that Borgwart planned to flee to Europe and attempted to mislead authorities. In fact, he even took out a $375,000 life insurance policy in January. He's likely in Eastern Europe, so they don't actually know. He was reportedly communicating with a woman from Uzbekistan before his disappearance. Okay, so this isn't going to end well. Yeah, they're never going to find this guy. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Technology Today. Warcraft 1 and 2 Remastered are available right now for some retro RTS goodness. It's over in Steam. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because it's Warcraft Remastered. I think it's in Steam. I thought it was. Maybe it's only in it must only be in Battle.net. So yeah, I guess you can get over on Battle.net. I think it's like $40. So the remastered versions, brand new hand-drawn visuals that capture the original art style from the game. Yes, they are available. I didn't like them. I liked them at the time, but there's new 4K versions, widescreen, and like higher res, and then there's the old school original that have been retooled. Pardon me. So Lawrence Bonk over at Engadget.com put the article together. Blizzard also dropped a beefy update for Warcraft 3 Reforged and made some other announcements. So you can get the Warcraft Battle Chest, which is Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 Remastered. The remasters feature brand new hand-drawn visuals that capture the original art style from each game. If the trailer is anything to go by, the games look pretty, they say in the article. Again, this is Lawrence Bonk over at Engadget.com. Today's 30th anniversary stream also dropped all kinds of other nuggets. This is yesterday's, the previous 24 hours, actually. Not today's previous 24 hours, yesterday's, which is the time machine's yesterday's, not your yesterday, because this is today. Got it? There's a test at the end. Anyway, the developer is relaunching WoW Classic, complete with all fresh realms. WoW Classic 20th Anniversary Edition will be available on November 21st and will include PvE and PvP servers, in addition to hardcore realms. This kind of regurgitating the same thing, but with newer graphics, just seems really, I don't know. It's just a money grab. This stuff should have been free and just keep people interested in your product. Just re-release it, I suppose, on a platform that everybody can get access to it instead of Battle.net. Put it on Steam too. Put it everywhere, but nope. The original Warcraft is getting some serious quality of life changes to make the game more appealing to modern audiences. The update includes 16:9 resolution support, modern control options. For instance, players can now right-click to move units instead of having to rely on hotkeys. Yeah. Works for me in the sense that they're keeping the game alive, so stop killing games. Let's keep moving, though. This next article is over on Hatch Ideas. Yes, I'm still familiar that there are graphics that are missing from the ohmtown.com site. I need to reattach them because I'm still cleaning house. So this article is titled Beverly Hills Surgeon Sues Medtronic for Patent Infringement. The lawsuit filed on Tuesday in U.S. District Court of Delaware is the latest in a series of patent challenges against Medtronic. So Paige Tortorelli over at CNBC.com put this article together. The key points to take away is a Beverly Hills surgeon is suing Medtronic claiming patent infringement of her hernia repair mesh product. It's the latest in a series of patent challenges against Medtronic. And in a statement to CNBC, the spokesperson for Medtronic said the company has a long history of respecting intellectual property rights of other innovators. Well, apparently not in this case, because the person is suing with over 22 years of experience. TOFI, I think is their name, is suing Medtronic, a global leader in medical devices. They're saying that they discovered that a significant number of her hernia patients experiencing post-surgery complications were women, and that most mesh designs on the market were primarily tailored to the male anatomy. In 2016, she filed for an international patent to protect a new design aimed at improving patient outcomes. So in the lawsuit, the latest in a series of patent challenges against Medtronic, TOFI accuses the medical device company of stealing her design after the parties met in 2015 and signed a mutual non-disclosure agreement. In 2016, TOFI says that she visited Medtronic's manufacturing site in France to discuss a potential collaboration with her patent-pending product. In May 2017, Medtronic filed its own hernia mesh patent for a product that TOFI says closely resembles her design. I need to look at this kind of patent. If it is a design patent, which this actually, I don't want to assume anything, but so they've got a patent, but this would have to be a functional, so a utility patent, but it just says patent. And not all patents are the same. So like design patents, which are aesthetic, looks, appearance, not function, those really aren't based on merit. So there are some people out there with thousands of design patents, and they are largely, I don't know. I wouldn't say that they're all that big of a deal. Unless there's somebody that wants to steal that design patent type of styling, appearance, look. So this actually, TOFI's patented mesh designs, and there's two of them listed here, which I don't know how that actually, if there's two different patents or not, then yeah, I kind of get it. But I guess we'll see. Let's see what the article says. Medtronic believes it in its innovation and has a long history of respecting IP. TOFI says that she followed up multiple times with Medtronic and So I don't know. It says, I couldn't speak, Tofi told CNBC. I saw the actual product in my hands for the very first time and just went pale. So the patents were granted, one of them. In May 2020, Medtronic launched its new hernia mesh product, Dextile. The lawsuit is not the first time Medtronic has faced allegations of patent infringement. Dr. Mark Berry alleging the Medtronic violated two of his patents about intended to correct spinal issues, recklessly copied, and was awarded $23.5 million. The same year, Medtronic agreed to pay more than $1 billion to settle Edwards Life Sciences over allegations of a transcatheter heart valve patent. $1 billion. So I don't know. Long history. Medtronic was also ordered to pay $106.5 million to Colibri Heart Valve, who sued Medtronic alleging the company's devices violated its patent related to heart valve replacement for patients with cardiac conditions. That was in 2020. So 2014, 2020, 2019, and then 2017, post 2016's and 2015's discussion with Tofi. I don't know. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Man allegedly steals 9 cars from dealership, burns it down, gets caught anyway. A South Carolina man allegedly stole 9 cars from a dealership before burning it down last week. In a move that could only be inspired by Hans Gruber's plans to blow up the Nakatomi building to escape scrutiny, all of the documentary, Die Hard. I believe that the author here at Jalopnik might be following my theory that most movies are actually future documentaries kind of created by a time traveler going back, giving somebody a little earworm kind of a thing, and then they create it, and boom, you have a documentary like Idiocracy, well, there's a bunch of them. Demolition Man, etc. Yeah. Anyway, so Amber Da Silva over at jalopnik.com put the article together. The whole point of the blaze was to destroy evidence, but that didn't work for one South Carolina man. Charles Chambers was arrested and charged with 9 counts of thefts and 1 of arson against Deals on Wheels in Anderson County, South Carolina last week after being identified by security footage, according to WYFF4, The Fighting Four. Chambers kicked off his crime spree with a plan. Shale Remian with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office said that Charles Chambers, 53, burned the dealership called Deals on Wheels to the ground, scattering stolen cars across the county. Broke into the business, single-handedly stealing at least 9 cars from the lot. He said that Chambers concealed some of the vehicles, leaving others parked in the open, including in a church parking lot off of Highway 28 bypass in Anderson. So, let's see. This is what happens when you don't have Theo in the computer room or Huey Lewis in the front desk of your operation to manage the security footage and ensure it never gets into cops' hands. So if you're going to go for the Gruber approach, you need to do it right. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, what did they actually try to get, though? They tried to steal some cars, but did this big, elaborate plan and then wet the bed in the process. Can't show your face, buddy. Cameras are everywhere. Cameras are everywhere. So it's better to just not be, a car thief. So anyway, Amazon is shutting down Freevee. Amazon's going to shut down Freevee because, well, it's not free to them, I guess. It's free ad-supported streaming television or FAST service. The service's content has already been migrated over to Prime Video, and new episodes of Freevee shows will be available to people who don't pay for Prime, Deadline reports. The brand will be phased out over the coming weeks, according to Deadline. Freevee originally launched out of Amazon-owned IMDb in 2019 as IMDb Free Dive, and was rebranded a few months after launch to IMDb TV and then to Freevee in 2022. I'm surprised that IMDb hasn't become Amazon IMDb. I think it says Prime all over it, though. Hold on, let me see. Let me check. We're doing it live, folks. We're doing it live. Right. Oh, I don't know. Wow, they had a... Well, Prime is all over it, but that's weird. They have some animation over the IMDb logo that when you mouse over it, it turns gray, and then crosshairs shoot it so that it's gold. Anyway, yeah, there's Prime branding all over the place. Anyway, Amazon is shutting down Freevee. Jay Peters over at TheVerge.com put the article together. It says, now that Prime Video has ads, the distinctions between the two services had gotten a bit murky. So Prime charged everybody $3 more. I'm one of those, which is so skeevy. Jesus. It just sucks. So Freevee originally launched out of IMDb in 2019. The service had some of its own original content like Bosch Legacy and Jury Duty. Amazon also added some Prime Video content to the service starting in 2023, but Adweek reported in February that Amazon was planning to sunset the brand following the introduction of ads on Prime Video in January. The company's video streaming offerings had gotten a bit muddy. So kind of like CVS, you buy up everything small, incorporate it, and when it doesn't produce, then you close everything down, leaving vacuums of information and opportunity. Then you raise your rates so that everybody is basically having to pay more for what would have been an ongoing concern if greed everywhere didn't play a role in, I guess, business existence. But it just makes good sense, right? Well, anyway, the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. It sounds like NASA's moon rocket might be getting canceled. We're just going to jump over to Futurism at futurism.com. And Victor Tangerman put the article together. It says, there is a big desire for big changes, according to the DEC statement. According to Ars Technica, senior space reporter Eric Berger's insider sources, there's at least a 50-50 chance that the rocket will be canceled. NASA's plagued Space Launch System rocket, which is being developed to deliver the first astronauts to the moon in over half a century, is on thin ice. Not Block 1B, not Block 2, he added, referring to the variant that was used during NASA's uncrewed Artemis 1 test flight in 2022 and a more powerful design with a much higher translunar injection payload capability, respectively, all of it. So to be clear, as Berger points out himself, we're still far from anything being settled. Nonetheless, the reporter's sources have historically been highly reliable, suggesting that the space agency may indeed be getting cold feet about continuing to pour billions of dollars into the non-reusable rocket. The SLS has already seen its fair share of budget overruns and many years of delays. Well, let's see. Who is it that's actually building the rocket? And now with the status of the administration, I can't imagine anything going to anything other than SpaceX, unless some low budget bullshit grant or contract is given just so that there is the optics that somebody else has a chance. Plagued aerospace giant Boeing has also encountered plenty of headwinds and its contributions to the launch platform. So Boeing needs a culture shift. Let's move on to the next article. It's over in the Marble Channel. $6 marble bust was used as a doorstop. Now could sell for $3 million. An item once treated as worthless could now be sold for $3 million. An early 18th century bust of Sir John Gordon, which was sculpted by Edme Bucheron, Bouchardon, was purchased by Invergordon Town Council for $6 in 1930. The council acquired the bust because Gordon is said to be the founder of Invergordon, Scotland. CNN reported that the bust was meant to be placed on display in a town hall, but instead was misplaced. In 1998, the bust was found. The Highland Council told the outlet. At the time, the sculpture was used to keep a door shed open. So Paige Gawley over at Vice.com put this article together. And it was used to keep a door shed in an industrial park open. Well, it moved one step closer in May when the Black Isle and Easter Ross Area Committee recommended the sale. Then this month, no objections to its sale were made to the Scottish Highlands Tain Sheriff Court. The legal back and forth isn't over yet. The spokesperson told the outlet that the Waverley criteria, which determines if national treasure should be barred from overseas export, will almost certainly be triggered. So back to, whoever it is that's going to end up. It says the council said that Sotheby's, who described the bust as brilliant in execution, has valued the piece upwards of 2.5 million pounds. That's more than $3 million US, and an unnamed buyer has offered to pay just that and agreed to fund a museum quality replica of the bust too. All right, let's move on to our last article for the Time Machine episode. And I'm hearing weird stuff. I don't know what it is. Anyway, Technology Today is where our last article has been aggregated into. Turntable Labs just launched a new social music platform called Hangout. We've actually seen these before. Everything old is new again. I said that earlier today. In a meeting, for crying out loud. It really is. Everything old is new again. Just look around, folks. Turntable Labs just launched Hangout, a social music platform that eerily similar to the champion of 2010's Turntable.fm. Turntable Labs, Turntable.fm, Hangout. It's pretty much the same thing. The app is available as a web client or an app via Android and or iOS. It allows users to play virtual DJ with over 100 million songs to choose from. This was actually something that I came up with 30 years ago. And I could never really make it work. I wasn't in the industry and I wasn't a software engineer and still not a software engineer. And I'm still not in the music industry, but it made sense to me that everybody who was in the same room together could share music. If they're the ones that purchase it and they're willingly sharing it with each other, then everybody can choose which music to listen to, which song to play next. And it would basically be like you're sitting in the same room, except that it's virtualized and everybody is streaming to everybody else. So it not only functions like the old school turntable.fm, it even looks the same. There's a stage, record players, cartoon avatars that sort of look like characters from South Park. They started their own room to check things out over at Engadget. Lawrence Bonk once more. The text statement says it lets people play virtual DJ with over 100 million tracks. I suspect that this is going to get shut down. But maybe they've got some regulatory or social or political pull where it just keeps everybody going. I mean, this looks just like Turntable FM from way back. So Turntable FM originally went dark all the way back in 2013 before showing signs of renewed life in 2021. This could be a fun retro throwback to an age when we actually got our music recommendations from people and not algorithms. And I agree. It basically looks like everything old is new again. This time, though, it says this is because those 100 million songs have been secured through partnerships with Sony Music Group, Universal Music Group, and Warner Music Group. The catalog also pulls from Merlin, which represents a vast array of indie labels and rights holders. The company likens the experience to gathering around a jukebox or listening to albums with friends, and that's exactly how I framed it back in the day. And when I'm talking back in the day, I'm talking about 1999, 2000. The platform didn't have agreements in place with the Turntable FM, and this is one of the problems. It relied on the DMCA and a partnership with ASCAP. This forced a number of rules on users as how many could be in a room at once, how many songs could be played at once each hour, even how long, like how many songs from a certain album could be played. Things couldn't, quote unquote, be on demand like radio. Well, it says it looks like those rules are now donezo. There's more over at this article, but you might as well go and check out Turntable Labs. There's a launch. Businesswire.com is where the news is coming from. It's just called Hangout from Turntable Labs. So do a search. I don't know where you're going to find it though. It doesn't hang.fm, I guess. Yeah, might be fun. I don't know. But that's it, folks. I'm going to end it here. The time machine is warming up, but we made it under an hour. So I'll be able to go back in time to the future. Hopefully that's not a trademark violation. All right, we're out of here. See you later. Bye-bye. I want my original MTV.